Why do women lose interest in the men who treat them best? Why does the guy who buys flowers, sends sweet texts, and never misses a call end up getting ghosted while the guy who barely responds shows up late and acts like he couldn't care less, has her completely obsessed? Why do millionaires get dumped for bartenders? Why do loyal, caring boyfriends get left for men who won't even commit? Why does being too good to her feel like the fastest way to lose her? And here's the question that will haunt you. Why does it seem like the worse you treat a woman, the harder she chases you? If these questions have been eating at you, if you've ever done everything right, only to watch her drift away, then you've stumbled onto one of the most uncomfortable truths about female psychology. A truth that most men will never understand, because it goes against everything we've been taught about love, relationships, and what women should want. The reality is, this attraction doesn't follow the rules of logic, fairness, or even basic human decency. It follows the rules of biology, and those rules were written millions of years ago, when survival depended on choosing the right man, not the nicest man. What you're about to discover will shatter everything you thought you knew about women, because the psychology behind female desire isn't pretty, it isn't politically correct, and it certainly isn't what anyone wants to admit, but it's real, and once you understand it, you'll never wonder again why she chose him over you. The question is, are you ready to see how deep this rabbit hole goes? To understand why these painful paradoxes exist, we need to dig into the biological foundation of attraction itself. The first thing you need to understand is this: women are not consciously deciding who to feel attracted to. Attraction isn't a checklist of good manners, nice dates, and thoughtful texts. It's rooted in biology, millions of years of evolution shaping what kind of man feels irresistible at a subconscious level. Back in primitive times, a woman's survival and her children's survival depended almost entirely on choosing the right partner. A man who was strong, resourceful, and socially dominant gave her and her offspring the best chance to live. The overly agreeable man, the one who was sweet but weak, might have been pleasant company, but he couldn't protect her from danger or provide enough during hard winters. That ancient programming never disappeared. It still operates beneath the surface in modern dating. This is what psychologists call hypergamy, the instinct women have to look upward in value, to seek a partner who feels just a little more capable, a little stronger, a little more desirable than they are. If a woman senses your value is equal to or below hers, her attraction system quietly shuts off. I've seen men with incredible resumes, lawyers, entrepreneurs, guys with the lifestyle most people envy, yet women drift away from them in weeks. But because their behavior screamed insecurity, they smothered women with validation, always made themselves too available, and acted like losing her would be a disaster. Meanwhile, I've known men with average jobs who had women completely obsessed with them, simply because they projected an aura of abundance. Perceived value outweighs actual value, and women are wired to pay more attention to how they feel around you than the numbers on your paycheck. Now that you understand the biological programming behind attraction, let's explore one of its most powerful triggers: uncertainty. Here's a truth most men never want to admit. The moment a woman becomes absolutely certain of your interest, her mind relaxes, and her attraction starts to fade. We don't treasure what we know we already have. We treasure what feels uncertain, rare, and just a little out of reach. When you send her a good morning text every single day, without fail. You've removed all mystery. She knows exactly where she stands with you. That certainty might sound romantic, but it kills the tension that keeps attraction alive. When you introduce a little unpredictability, something powerful happens. Her brain starts working overtime. Does he like me as much as I think? Why hasn't he texted yet? That mental energy is what keeps her hooked. Psychologists call this principle intermittent reinforcement, the same mechanism that makes people addicted to slot machines. Picture two guys. The first meets a woman, has a great time, and the next morning fires off a long message. "I had such an amazing night. You're incredible. I can't wait to see you again." The second guy waits a couple of days, then sends a short, confident invite. "Coffee, Tuesday at 3. Guess which guy she can't stop thinking about? Your attentions is a currency. The more predictable and abundant it is, the less it's worth. But when you give it in small, unpredictable doses, its value skyrockets. Most men spend all their emotional budget in the first week. Constant compliments, constant availability, constant chasing. Once she knows she has you, her brain tells her no need to work for it anymore. Uncertainty is just one piece of the puzzle. The next layer goes even deeper: predictability. Once you understand how uncertainty works, you'll see why predictability is attraction's silent killer. One of the fastest ways to watch attraction die is to become predictable. In the beginning, everything feels electric. New conversations, new experiences, and that rush of excitement when you don't know what's coming next. But if every date looks the same, if every phone call comes at the exact same hour, if your reactions are always identical, her subconscious starts telling her, "I've figured him out. There's nothing left to discover here." This is why the bad boy stereotype has such magnetic power. It's not that women actually like being treated poorly. What keeps them hooked is that the bad boy is unpredictable. He doesn't always answer right away. He might cancel plans to do his own thing. That unpredictability keeps her guessing, and as long as she's guessing, she's investing. When she sends you a cold text, do you immediately rush in to cheer her up, proving that her moods control you? Or do you match her energy, showing that you won't be thrown off balance? Every little test she throws your way isn't about the details. It's about whether she can predict your reaction. Attraction isn't logical, it's emotional. A woman's subconscious responds to unpredictability the same way the human brain responds to any exciting challenge. It creates tension, curiosity, and emotional highs and lows. Without those, the relationship slides into routine. Here's where unpredictability becomes practical. Women don't just lose interest because you're boring. They actively test whether you'll stay unpredictable under pressure. When a woman tests you, she's not checking your skills or your job. What she's really doing, often without even realizing it, is testing how much power she has over you. Every little moment of coldness, every time she drops another guy's name into the conversation, every time she cancels plans last minute, it's all her subconscious way of asking, does this man stay centered, or does he crumble to win me back? Take the comparison test. She casually mentions how attractive another man is. The insecure response is to get defensive or jealous. The high-value response: smile, stay unbothered, maybe even agree with her. That shows her you're not threatened. Or the availability test: she cancels on you last minute. The low-value move is to rearrange your entire life just to fit her back in. The high-value move. You say no worries and go do your own thing. These tests aren't manipulative schemes. They're instinctive survival checks. A woman's subconscious is wired to make sure the man she's with is strong enough to lead, confident enough to handle pressure, and stable enough not to be shaken by emotion. When you fail the tests, you're telling her, I need you more than you need me. When you consistently pass, when you stay calm, unaffected, and rooted in your own frame, you prove you're the prize. But what happens when you consistently fail these tests? When predictability and weakness accumulate over time, this is where biology takes over completely, and the results can be devastating. When a woman starts losing attraction, it often has nothing to do with how much she loves you or how many good memories you share. It's her biology pulling the strings. Deep in her subconscious, she's constantly evaluating, is this man strong enough to protect and provide if it came down to survival? When her instincts decide the answer is no, her body reacts before her mind can rationalize it. Suddenly, she feels less desire for intimacy. She becomes more irritable around you. She starts nitpicking things that never bothered her before. To you, it feels like she just fell out of love. But to her subconscious, it's a survival alarm. You'll often see relationships where the woman still cares deeply for her partner, maybe even says, I love you, yet she no longer wants to be physically close. It's not a choice. It's her nervous system shutting the door. And the trigger is almost always the same. She perceives him as weak. The liberating part is this: it's not personal. If she loses attraction, it's because your behavior shifted into a position that her instincts flagged as low value. That means you can shift it back. The moment you reclaim your strength by being decisive, grounded, and not bending just to please, her subconscious starts to reassess you. There's a flip side to this biological equation. While women's bodies react negatively to perceived weakness, something fascinating happens when they sense they might lose a high-value man. Most of the time, women don't communicate directly about what they want. Instead, they drop hints, subtle cues, and expect you to pick up on them. This covert style of communication allows her to test whether you're attentive without putting herself at risk of rejection. But something fascinating happens when she starts to worry about losing you. Suddenly, the indirect hints vanish. She shifts into overt communication, straightforward, clear, and unmistakably affectionate. Instead of dropping subtle signals, she'll text, I miss you so much. Instead of playing it cool, she'll be upfront about wanting to see you. Because hypergamy, the drive to lock down a man she perceives as high value, kicks into overdrive when she feels she might lose him. The more uncertain she feels about her grip on you, the harder she works to secure it. The guy who chases, who overcommits, who constantly reassures her, he rarely hears I miss you texts. But the guy who holds his frame, who doesn't always respond right away, who seems like he has options, that's the guy who gets bombarded with affection because she's competing to keep him. This shift in communication reveals something crucial. External status means nothing without internal strength. This brings us to one of the biggest misconceptions men have about attraction. A lot of mainstream dating advice focuses on the external package. Hit the gym, make more money, upgrade your wardrobe. Those things can help you get noticed, but none of it will keep her if your behavior communicates low value. You've probably seen the millionaire who wines and dines a woman, showers her with gifts, bends over backward to make her happy, only to get dumped for a guy who works a normal job but carries himself with confidence. Attraction isn't sustained by the size of your bank account. It's sustained by the way you make her feel. If your behavior screams insecurity, if you're constantly chasing, constantly proving yourself, constantly over-investing, her instincts interpret that as weakness. On the flip side, I've seen average men hold on to stunning women for years, not because they were rich, tall, or built like athletes, but because they understood frame. Self-improvement alone isn't the full solution. You can level up your income, your style, your social circle, but if you reveal low value through your actions, women will lose interest anyway. When it comes to women, perception always trumps possessions. If external wealth and status don't guarantee attraction, what about kindness? This leads us to perhaps the most painful truth of all. This is one of the most confusing experiences men face. You treat her with kindness. You give her consistency. You make her feel like a queen. And yet she pulls away. Meanwhile, the guy who barely calls, who teases her, who doesn't prioritize her the way you do, he's the one she chases. Women aren't addicted to disrespect. They're addicted to what disrespect signals. When a man is willing to risk losing her by not catering to every demand, it suggests he has other options. When he doesn't constantly seek her approval, it communicates that his sense of worth doesn't depend on her validation. The nice guy overinvests from day one, makes her the center of his world, is terrified of upsetting her. Everything he does signals gratitude just for being in her presence. And while that might sound sweet, to her instincts, it reads as weakness. Women stay hooked on men who don't treat them as well as they should because of the feeling that they have to reach upward, to fight for his attention, to prove themselves worthy. That upward chase creates emotional highs and lows, and those highs and lows are addictive. The takeaway isn't that you should start treating women badly. The real lesson is, stop giving away your validation unconditionally. Make her earn your approval through her actions, through how she treats you, how she shows up, how she invests. Understanding why women choose bad guys over good guys reveals the key to everything balance. The secret isn't to become a bad boy. It's to find the sweet spot between challenge and hope. Attraction is a delicate dance. Too much comfort, and she gets bored. Too much difficulty, and she gives up. The sweet spot is where she feels challenged enough to keep investing, but hopeful enough to believe she can win your approval. If she feels like she already has you, there's no urgency, no excitement, no chase. But if she feels like she can never get you, she'll stop trying altogether. The men women become obsessed with walk that fine line, close enough to touch, but never fully in her pocket. This doesn't mean playing cruel games. It means valuing yourself enough to make your time, your attention, and your approval something she earns. When she puts effort into the relationship, acknowledge it. Give her validation when she deserves it. But don't hand it out like candy just because she exists. Women don't fall in love with men. They fall in love with how they feel about themselves when they're around those men. If you make her feel like she's doing you a favor by being with you, she'll feel powerful, but not attracted. If you make her feel like she's lucky to have your attention, she'll feel excited, challenged, and emotionally invested. But how do you naturally create this balance between challenge and hope? The answer lies in a fundamental shift in mindset. The single most attractive quality a man can project isn't money, looks, or even social status. It's abundance. Not necessarily abundance of women, but abundance of mindset. The deep, unshakable belief that you don't need anyone to feel complete. When a man carries himself with abundance, everything he does communicates value. He doesn't chase, because he knows he has options. He doesn't overinvest, because his time is precious. He doesn't tolerate disrespect, because he understands he could walk away and still thrive. The man with abundance is usually the one who ends up treating women better. Why? Because he's not afraid of losing them. His kindness comes from choice, not fear. He gives attention because he wants to, not because he's begging to be kept around. This mindset doesn't require juggling multiple women. It's about living with purpose, building a life you're proud of, and refusing to put one woman on a pedestal above everything else. When she sees you leading your own life, when she feels that she has to earn a place in it, her attraction spikes. The scarcity man says, "Please don't leave me. I'll do anything." The abundance man says, "I'd love for you to be part of my life, but my life is full either way." Guess which one her instincts tell her to fight for? Abundance naturally leads to the next crucial element to leadership. When you truly believe you don't need anyone to feel complete, you naturally step into a leadership role. One of the deepest instincts women are wired to respond to is masculine leadership. Leadership doesn't mean being controlling or domineering. It means being decisive, confident, and carrying the weight of responsibility without flinching. It's about having a vision for your life and inviting her to join you, instead of revolving your life entirely around her preferences. Think of how most men approach dating. They ask, "What do you want to do tonight?" Or, "Is this okay with you?" That might look considerate, but over time, it sends a message, "I need your guidance to know what to do." She doesn't want to be the captain. She wants to relax, knowing she's with a man who can steer the ship. Instead of asking, you say, "We're going to try that new Italian spot downtown." Instead of nervously checking the Jimmy course, you state confidently, "Here's the plan." You're not being bossy, you're being decisive. And when you lead with calm authority, you give her the gift of trust. Masculine leadership is also about emotional steadiness. If you fold every time she challenges you, if you bend your values just to keep her happy, you're not leading, you're following. A man with leadership keeps his frame, listens and considers, but doesn't abandon who he is to win approval. When you lead well, women don't feel controlled. They feel free. Free to be feminine, to relax, to trust. Leadership creates polarity, and polarity is the fuel of attraction. Leadership and abundance work together, but they must be supported by one more critical principle: emotional investment balance. There's a harsh but undeniable law in human psychology in any relationship. The person who invests more emotional energy holds less power. Investment isn't just about money or time. It's about who initiates contact more often, who rearranges their schedule more, who makes the bigger compromises, and who shows more vulnerability first. If you're always the one texting first, always the one suggesting plans, always the one trying to smooth things over, you're signaling that you value her more than she values you. Over time, this imbalance erodes her respect and, eventually, her attraction. But balance the scale, and everything changes. When she invests in you, when she reaches out first, when she makes plans to see you, when she puts effort into impressing you, you suddenly become more valuable in her eyes. People don't value what they give away for free. They value what costs them effort. This doesn't mean you should be cold or selfish. It means you should be intentional. Don't pour all your energy in up front while she's still deciding if she's interested. Match her effort, not exceed it. If she texts once, you don't need to fire off 10 messages. The golden rule is simple. Let her invest first, then mirror her level. When the investment is equal, attraction flourishes. When it's one-sided, attraction, Balanced investment is impossible without the foundation that supports everything else. Frame control. At the core of lasting attraction lies frame control. Your frame is simply your perspective on reality, how you see yourself, your life, and the relationship. Women are constantly testing that frame to find out, is this man strong enough to stand on his own ground? Or will he collapse the moment I push against him? Most men fail when a woman disagrees with them, challenges them, or throws drama their way. Instead of calmly holding their position, they fold immediately, apologizing, backtracking, and shifting their reality to match hers. In that moment, he thinks he's keeping the peace, but what she feels is, this man can't even hold his own perspective. How can he hold me? A man with strong frame control doesn't need to argue, shout, or dominate. He simply stands firm. If he believes something, he doesn't abandon it to win approval. If she tries to pull him into her emotional storm, he stays calm, like a rock in the middle of chaos. Frame control isn't stubbornness. It's about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and refusing to betray that just to keep her happy for 5 minutes. Women respect you more when you don't cave, because they're looking for a man strong enough to lead and anchor them when their own emotions feel overwhelming. Whoever's frame dominates in a relationship sets the tone for everything. If you consistently let her pull you into her frame, you'll always be reacting to her. But if you maintain your frame, she relaxes into yours. Frame control, abundance, leadership, balanced investment, these all serve one ultimate purpose: maintaining attraction alongside love. And this brings us to the most crucial distinction of all. Most men confuse love with attraction, and that mistake costs them their relationships. Love is about care, compatibility, and commitment. Attraction is about tension, excitement, and the feeling of reaching upward. It's emotional electricity, not logical partnership. The problem is this: most men focus entirely on love. They're supportive, reliable, always available, always caring. And while that's admirable, it's not enough. Because without attraction, love becomes obligation. She might care about you deeply, but she won't desire you. That's why you see so many relationships where the woman says, "I love him, but I'm not in love with him anymore." Translation: the love is there, the attraction is gone. And once attraction disappears, love by itself can't keep the fire alive. The men who succeed long-term understand this distinction. They know how to nurture love and maintain attraction at the same time. They show care and loyalty, but they also keep a sense of mystery. They're supportive, but they still challenge her. They're committed, but they don't smother her. A woman wants both a rock and a storm. She wants the stability of knowing you'll be there, but also the unpredictability that keeps her heart racing. Love without attraction is friendship. Attraction without love is a fling. But when you master both, you create a bond that feels unstoppable. Now that you understand the difference between love and attraction, and how all these psychological principles work together, you stand at a crossroads. Now you've seen the truth most men spend their whole lives ignoring. Attraction doesn't work the way you were taught. It's not about being the nice guy who overinvests, showers her with attention, and makes her the center of his world. That strategy only ends one way, with her drifting further from you, no matter how much you give. The real psychology of female desire is rooted in challenge, in uncertainty, in the feeling that she's reaching upward for a man who stands strong in his own frame. She doesn't fall in love with how much you adore her. She falls in love with how she feels about herself when she earns your attention. You've got two paths ahead of you. One is to keep playing the role of the perfect gentleman, hoping that being endlessly giving will make her stay. But if you've been down that road, you already know how it ends. The other path means embracing the uncomfortable truths about female psychology. It means setting boundaries, holding your frame, and refusing to drown her in validation she hasn't earned. It means leading with confidence, living with abundance, and making her feel that she's lucky to have won you, not the other way around. This isn't about manipulation or being cruel. It's about aligning yourself with the way attraction actually works, instead of fighting against it. When you stop trying to prove yourself and start embodying true value, everything changes. Women respond differently. Relationships feel different. And you stop chasing, because she'll be the one chasing you. So here's the choice. Keep clinging to the nice guy playbook that's failed you over and over, or step into the role of the man she can't afford to lose. The man she respects, admires, and desires. The man who doesn't just get love, but gets passion, loyalty, and devotion. The difference isn't luck, it's psychology. And once you master it, your entire relationship with women will never be the same.